Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're going to be featuring Quicksilver in different content with a PvE focused obelisk and CTP build. And I'm doing this because honestly, World Boss Legend is not his forte. It's not, and because of that, I want to try and showcase a game mode where I think he does shine. Now, despite the fact that you can cancel his tier 3, I've honestly had more success with an obelisk not canceling his tier 3. But I actually have no success dodging the cages, so we get caught by the cages. His speed is not bad. He often procs on the 3 by accident if you try to do 3 cancel 5 cancel 4. So I strongly recommend you just sticking to the 5 cancel 4 combo and then splashing in 3 later. But yeah, I wouldn't honestly cancel the tier 3. It actually hits a lot harder when you don't cancel it, as you can see there. But this is the pace that I'm used to clearing this stage with. Honestly, this is not bad for the fact that he has an obelisk, right? Compared to Rescue, he's actually about as fast as Rescue was with a CTP of Energy. He's obviously faster than Hulkbuster. So if I were to give him a CTP of Energy, he'd be able to do this even faster. But to be honest with you, I missed procs during this run. Pretty much every run that I play with him with a regular obelisk, and it'll be the same for a CTP of Energy, you are going to miss procs. The 5 cancel 4 combo is not the best for his damage because you have to delay the accumulation by 1 rotation, and you can still miss the proc on that one. So rather than say, rather than make a video explaining that Quicksilver is probably a pretty good character for World Boss Legend, but it doesn't really matter because we have far superior characters like the Black Order, Captain America Falcon, Rogue, so on and so forth, even just in the speed class, not even Sharon Rogers from a year ago, right? Like, there's just better characters, right? There's just better characters, cheaper characters, and characters that are easier to use. All 3 of those are true. So let's find a game mode where he actually can shine, and there are actually fewer characters shining at this point, and he might actually be saving you resources. So I think that's a much more interesting topic. So that's what we're going to be doing. And in order to do that, it might not be the most interesting game mode for everyone, but Dispatch. Quicksilver is actually very, very, very good for Dispatch. And it's a combination of actually 3 different things. 1, he has very, very high native ignore dodge, which is really important for Dispatch because the enemies are actually above level 70. I'll show you, they go up to level, I think, 77 or 78. And so if you bring in a character with no ignore dodge, they won't do much damage, and you'll see the word dodge popping up in between the text because they're being dodged, like your attacks are being dodged. So his agility passive is very valuable for Dispatch, right? The 50% ignore dodge. If you can couple that with an obelisk that has ignore dodge, like my Quicksilver sitting at a base 90% ignore dodge. This is very valuable. It's great for Null, great for Quicksilver World Boss and Corvus World Boss. It's also very, very good and underrated for Dispatch. So that's the first thing. The second thing is he has lots of AoE on his skills, and that's going to help you because it's just going to hit all of the opponents, right? His 5th skill, especially Sea Tornado, as you'll see when we actually run through some of the content, some of the Dispatch missions, he just hits everything, and he's constantly hitting things, so it's constantly applying damage. The third thing is that he actually doesn't have all defense down. And that works in his favor because when you combine him with all defense down from another character, his damage really explodes. And you see that when you combine him in with like one-shot tactics and things like that for World Boss Ultimate, but you can't apply all defense down to World Boss Legend. So he can really take advantage of lots of different effects in Dispatch that actually make him a very, very good. So the reason why I actually am really high on his value for World Boss Legend, for Dispatch versus World Boss Legend, is that this is my regular team for Dispatch right here. Now, this team is very expensive, obviously with a native tier 3, so I'm trying to find other teams that can compete. And when I say compete, I mean that they can auto stage, and believe it or not, just even with 20% pierce, not every team can auto stage 10-1, but I want to auto stage 10-1. This high stage that gets lots of XP, etc. So I want to auto one of the hardest stages in the game. So this team does it for me. But what other teams can do it, especially now with cheaper characters, with characters like Quicksilver. So I did a bunch of testing off camera. I didn't feel like, and I didn't think it would be fun for you to watch multiple Dispatch runs, back to back to back, because it's just a mess of attacks and it's just a flurry of of stuff on the screen. So I screenshotted the results for you. So this was the first team I ran, and the one constant here for 3 of the 4 runs is Quicksilver. So this team actually managed to do it in 3 minutes. I had to use the call assist button, and I had to use my friend's character to jump in to do damage. So I don't think that this team would consistently clear the 10-1 on auto. I think you'd fail sometimes, and the worst part about failing is when you're trying to set up a bunch of runs overnight or something like that, right? So if you have a chance of failing, then the team is basically a fail, right? The team has to clear it 100% of the time with at least, I would say, comfortably like 15, 20 seconds spare time, 30 seconds to be really safe. So this team theoretically could work, but I'm going to call it a fail. Then I tried this team here with Vision lead, and I brought in Valkyrie. Valkyrie is not really doing much for Quicksilver because the 30% ignore dodge doesn't need it, right? He's got 90% already, but she's giving some ignore dodge to Vision. Vision's giving them all 20% attack, and Valkyrie's also applying all defense down, and she is giving that extra damage to villains. They were able to clear it with 6 seconds left, and I didn't have to intervene or use the call assist. I was a little bit more impressed with this team, so I said, you know what, let's switch it around a little bit more. And then I went with this team, and this team was able to clear it with almost 45 seconds left. I was very impressed with this team. And again, Quicksilver is the constant here. So then I was like, you know what, let me try one more thing. I swapped out Quicksilver for Loki. And I just swapped out the leaderships here because her leadership is a tiny bit better. It's 11% dodge instead of the mind resist, and it was actually slower. Now, maybe sometimes this team will be slower and this team will be faster, but the reason why this is so impressive to me is because Quicksilver doesn't have the build that Loki has. So he's got 1 Odin's Blessing, sure, he's got the Mythic Uniform, but he's got a CTP of Rage. Yeah. And on the flip side, Quicksilver with this team here, he's got an Obelisk. So he's as good, if not better, than Loki. The only difference being, if I wanted to swap him for Loki on this team, he's not going to be able to take advantage of Proxima's passive, because Proxima's passive on her uniform only applies to villain allies. So for specific teams, especially if you're using Proxima, Quicksilver may not be that strong, or may not be as strong as I'm saying here. But of course, if you're using Proxima, you're using characters that don't have a lot of ignore dodge because she's giving you 45%. But Quicksilver doesn't need that. So I find this, like, obviously this team is much, much cheaper than this team, right? This team has like more than 5,000 CCF required. This team has just over 2,000 CCF required. So this is about half the amount of CCF required. You only need 20 books instead of 30, and you need speed and universal instead of universal blast, right? So there isn't an overlap there. You only have to fight 1 world boss. Well, you have to fight world boss Quicksilver, but here you have to go through all the world bosses and then do Mephisto. So yeah, this team is still faster, but you've got a judgment and then an energy and then a rage. So they're all CTP'd up. So what I want to do now for you guys, I'm going to show you guys a clip. Actually, we're just going to run through with this team here on 10-1. We're gonna run it back again using her leadership or Quicksilver's leadership, doesn't really matter. We're going to run it back again, and then I'm actually going to give him a very unusual CTP that I don't often give to characters, and we're going to see how much better he performs. Now, full disclosure here, if you still want to use Quicksilver with this new Summer Days uniform for World Boss Legend and World Boss Ultimate content, Energy CTP and maybe even DRX, Energy CTP is going to be the best for him, absolutely. If you want to use him for PvP, then honestly an Authority might be really good for him, possibly a regen, but his base HP is kind of low, so maybe like a Mighty Authority would be good because of that steel giving him damage reduction to combine with all that guaranteed dodge that he has. And then if you wanted to use him, because he doesn't need the destruction pierce, the penetration on destruction. And then if you wanted to use him for dispatch, I think that a rage CTP or a greed CTP would be the best. And again, that's the unusual CTP that I'm actually going to try on him to see how much faster this clear becomes. I think Rage would be faster than Greed for a dispatch, and I don't think he needs the ignore dodge from the Greed the way that someone like maybe Captain Marvel would for PvP, the new Captain Marvel. But I think I know that Greed is a very underutilized CTP, and if this works for some players who have Quicksilver already and don't have any other use for him and don't have any use for Greeds, then all the better. Now, as I'm saying this and as I'm explaining this, I just want to reiterate, I'm not suggesting or recommending that you buy this uniform. I'm also not recommending that you try to get a greed CTP for this character and give it to them. I'm saying if you already have Quicksilver, if you were going to buy this uniform anyways, and if now you're sort of scratching your head thinking, well, what am I going to use this character for? I have Captain America Falcon, or I have Rogue, I have these other better characters for World Boss Legend. I guess I don't need Quicksilver, right? Even Silk is better than Quicksilver for the higher stages like stage 40 and such of Null with the restrictions. You can use him for Dispatch. He's actually dominating this right now. Look at this. This might be my fastest clear yet if the damage continues at this pace. And this is all with an Obelisk. Valkyrie's got a Rage, Ghost Rider's got a Judgment, but he's got an Obelisk, and he's crushing this. Not only is he crushing it, but as you can see, the AoE on his skills gets rid of the mobs so quickly that the other two characters on your team can focus their attacks on the boss at the end. And usually this is where people get tripped up and end up running out of time. And especially if you're bringing in someone like Ghost Rider, he doesn't actually have that much AoE, especially with his third skill, and you wouldn't want Ghost Rider to waste his third skill attack on one of the minions instead of on the final boss. So there you go, we clear. I honestly think this is a faster clear time. So the last one was 2:18, so that was 42 seconds left. There you go. This okay, this was a little bit slower. This was about 6 seconds slower. So this is actually more on pace with this one here. It's only 2 seconds off this clear here with Loki. But again, Loki has a Rage. So yeah, honestly, I would say probably the most bang for your buck, so to speak, when it comes to Quicksilver may be to, that's 100%, we want the 150, maybe to use him for, yeah, that's fine. Maybe to use him for something like Dispatch and get your value back there, especially if you haven't had the time or you don't have the resources to build up someone like Mephisto, someone like, you know, a lot of the other characters that I'm not using for Dispatch that are recommended are very expensive, right? Odin is recommended for Dispatch. He's super expensive. Cable's also as expensive as Quicksilver, a little bit more. Silver Surfer's more expensive. Mephisto's more expensive, right? All these characters are more expensive. So if we can find a cheaper option, you know, this might be the cheapest option that can clear, you know, Dispatch 10. And I honestly don't think, I know that Pierce helps Dispatch a little bit, but I'm not sure it helps that much. I really don't think it helps that much compared to other content. It certainly doesn't help nearly as much as it does in World Boss and World Boss Legend, because there are people that can climb up to stage 10, Dispatch Sector 10 without Pierce, or with very little Pierce, like 4% Pierce. So I don't want to say it doesn't have any impact, but I want to say that the impact is minimal. You know, I think you can definitely expect similar results with less Pierce, or you know, results that are still gonna allow you to clear the stage, given that the builds are similar, right? If you got a fire damage obelisk on Ghost Rider, I got some bad news for you. But or if like Valkyrie's not transcended, then I got kind of bad news for you. But yeah, otherwise if it's the same, but we'll see how much faster this is. Right now we are clocking in just under the halfway point of this. I don't really have any, I mean, you saw how many greeds I had in my inventory. I don't have any use for greeds, so this is a little bit exciting for me to have a use for this, and it's nice to find a use for a character in content besides World Boss Ultimate and World Boss Legend, because I feel like it's too crowded in that game mode now, and you're basically talking about shades of gray, right? You're like, or shades of a color, right? Like we could get the auburn, or we could get the maroon, or we could get the crimson. You know, they're all going to be able to clear a World Boss Legend, so it doesn't really matter, right? We're getting a little bit of FPS loss, a little bit of frame loss here, which is good. It means we're doing so much damage. The CPU is having trouble computing. The RAM is lagging out. I don't know what's lagging out, but anyways, this is definitely gonna be faster. So this is dope. This is really dope. Greed is a very underused CTP, and Dispatch is as important as ever. Because I don't mean to overstate the value of Dispatch, but on top of all of the passive rewards that you do get from Dispatch every single day, right? All of the gold, all of the energy, all of the tier 2 and tier 3 materials, you also have these events now, right? Like this ice cream event. And this event seems to be pretty popular with the players. Hopefully the devs feel the same way. It's probably not going to be that difficult to just copy and paste this event in the future for other rewards. So they're probably going to want us to farm more Dispatch. which means that having characters like this for dispatch who are able to clock in at these fast paces without needing, you know, top-end CTPs that are more valuable for other content is really important. So I'm impressed. 2 minutes is fast. 2 minutes is very fast. This team, I think, is still faster, but not by much. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not much faster. So there may be a faster team out there that includes Quicksilver. I hesitate to say, but it's possible that the fastest dispatch team includes Quicksilver, but I can't say that for sure. So I will leave that I will file that under the speculation theory folder for now until I can do more testing, or until you guys out there in the universe can do more testing. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of these revelations, and does it make this uniform a letdown or not? I don't know. It's your call. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.